Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to our PM Safari this afternoon. My name is Mark, and you're with us on Safari TV on Wild Earth. Sebastian is on camera, Herman is in final control. I'm really glad to be back because, well, I've missed you all and I've missed the drives here. It seems that I've missed a lot of what's been happening around the Sabi Sand in the last 2 weeks. Some really exciting stuff, and it seems that every time I go and lead, the lion bring down a buffalo. But I can't really complain because my last work cycle we did have that buffalo kill in front of the lodge. Well, I hope you're going to join me for the next 3 hours as we drive around here in the Sabi Sand and hopefully find some fantastic things. It's a bit overcast, the wind is blowing, it's a little bit cool, but should be some good game viewing to be seen. Starting off with a few of our resident wildebeest. I don't know where the whole herd is. Last time I counted there were 13, only about 5 here now. 5, yeah, 1 bull and 4 cows. So with 8 of them not around, I wonder what's happened to the rest of the herd. Probably split up during a lion attack or something. And they're in the company of some of the impala from the open area near camp that we call quarantine. Slowly making their way into the open as the day wears on. Right on the edge, the western edge of this open area called quarantine, were a couple of warthogs, actually 3 of them, that big female with her 2 youngsters. The troop of baboons were around. And there's something I do want to show you a little bit further up, but let's just sit here with these wildebeest. Hopefully they'll come out into the open. And the impala will invariably follow them. They seem to be wanting to associate with each other at the moment, with a bit of a wind and the cold weather. Safety in numbers. Sorry, madam. Doesn't look like there's very much to eat at the moment, but there is a little bit of green coming through amongst all this brown, particularly with regards to the grasses. Underneath all of this there are some green shoots, and slowly these animals are going to start bulking up. Notice some of the individuals got a very tan colored or brownish colored forehead. Those are mostly the females that have that. The male has a much, well, he's pretty much all black on the forehead, but a much thicker neck, heavier horns. His horns are much heavier set than the females. couple of females looking very round. As they move off into the grasses, they're not ready to come out into the open just yet by the looks of things. Let's move along. I want to show you something that's quite interesting. Oh, there they come. Just see if we can... Oh, it's just a mistake as they're moving around. Just on the fringes of the short grass areas. It's almost like I'm herding them. I think I better leave them. They just keep turning around and going the other way. Oh, let's make our way onto quarantine. I want to show you something else now. Just before I went on leave, towards the end of July and into early August, we were looking for signs of spring. Of course, now we don't need to see signs of spring. Spring is here. Not quite in full force yet, but lots of little things all over the place that are happening. New growth, new shoots, new flowers. The contrast between here and the Timbavati is quite remarkable, in that the dominant tree species here tend to be the marulas. Up there, most of the marulas have been broken down and pushed over, and those that are left, they just fall into oblivion. Well, they become invisible with all the other trees. But the one tree that stands out above all else when you're looking at a big sort of vista like this are the knobthorns, the cream crowns of the knobthorns sticking out above the rest of the bushveld. Now here in this marula, let's just change the subject quickly because I'm here. I see there's a woodpecker busy. Now some of you may remember this marula being ring-barked about, gosh, well over a year ago. It was just after I started. And this tree managed to survive. In fact, I think it might have even been ring-barked before I got here. And it still lived throughout my first summer here. It was still alive. It still had green leaves. It was doing fine, but that was possibly just from moisture it had stored in its branches and under its bark. But it is now decomposing at quite a rapid rate. The ground is littered with dead branches, broken pieces that have fallen off, and of course the other thing is the bark that is falling off in big chunks. And as Sebastian and I came out on drive this afternoon, we both happened to be looking in the right direction, and as we looked up towards this tree, a huge piece of bark and branches came crashing down, and we thought it was either a hornbill or could have even been a baboon. The baboons were in the area, and they are likely to be hastening the stripping of this bark that is coming apart. I don't think they really need to do much. Just the weight of the bark and the fact that it has separated from the tree so much is doing it. Even with this bit of wind, I can see a woodpecker up there. The woodpeckers, there we go, another piece of bark that's falling. I moved the vehicle just a little bit. We might get to see this woodpecker. Could be a, let me see.
Where is it?
Could be a female bearded, but it might just be behind that other branch. She's very busy. I'm not seeing any red on her head, therefore female. Where'd she go?
She's gone.
Gone. The back of the branch, or did she fly away?
No, she's at the back of the branch, yeah.
Okay, so she might come through. Now, one thing that we can't really see too well from this angle, and I'll try and drive around the tree to see it better, is one of the things that's hastening the stripping of the bark, hastening the demise of the bark of the tree. Let me just see, where are we? I'm pretty sure female bearded woodpecker had the beard stripe, had the moustache, the eye stripe.
You can see her head from there.
Just her head, yeah. There she comes. Yeah, it's all bearded, female bearded. Okay, I'm going to move around to the other side of the tree now. I'm going to show you something quite intriguing. Not noticeable that much on this side of the tree. I'll give it a wide berth. The size of the pieces of bark that are falling off of it will be a bit dicey. Oh, there she goes. Lots of new leaves on this gardenia next to me. There we go. From this angle, make sure we're not parked under anything. It's not blowing too hard, but I would imagine in the wind pieces are going to come off of this tree. So let's see, we've got to look at some of these holes in the tree itself that have been hidden by the bark. Now, if this was North America and this was an oak tree, these holes would be the result of the acorn woodpecker that drills this size hole and then stuffs them with acorns. But we don't have woodpeckers that do that here. There are some of these holes that have been modified by woodpeckers, but most of these holes are the exit holes of the larvae of some of the wood-boring beetles, the likes of the giant longhorn beetle. In fact, some of the holes that are oval in shape are undoubtedly the holes of the big longhorn wood borers, the giant longhorn. They can live 15, 17 years as larvae in a tree. And they would be eating that freshly dead layer of xylem, I would say it is, I think, the cambium layer, just underneath the dead bark, underneath the outer dry bark. You get the soft, reddish, very red, very soft, very moist inner bark, and it would be that the insects are eating, and that accounts for this gap between these pieces of bark and the tree itself, and that is what hastens the demise of the tree. Entomologists dream as these pieces are falling, they're bringing down insects with them. Maybe I'll have to come and spend an afternoon here with a camera one day when pieces are falling down.
Yeah, I'll be with you.
Yeah. Get some remarkable footage. Okay, the plan is right now, we did see also while we were waiting to become live, waiting to meet up with you all for the clock to tick towards the hour, we noticed that big herd of buffalo. There was a breeding herd of buffalo that had been at the dam around about lunchtime this afternoon, or just before lunchtime, and they've all moved to the north, and we could see them on the slopes up to the north, in fact not very far from camp. So hopefully they're not in that block anymore. They might be moving up towards the fire break and Buffles of cut line. And before I even knew they were there, there was a lot of impala calling near camp this afternoon. So we're going to do Gallagher shortcut and head up towards Buffles of cut line, and then maybe we'll come back round in Boo Boo Road. I'm sure there's leopard activity. There were baboon going crazy at lunchtime as well, but I think that was more internal strife amongst the baboon rather than something trying to get baboon. Well, at one moment it did sound like they were being attacked by something. Now, I think there's a leopard around, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to have a look. But getting back to this view of over the tree line where we are right now, you can't really tell the difference in trees because nothing really stands out. There are a few knobthorns that I can see in the distance that are flowering. I think they're a little bit behind here compared to the knobthorns up in the Timbavati. Every single knobthorn up there is in full bloom at the moment. And when you look, well, it's just a different scenario altogether. There's so many trees between there and here, coming back between Hoedspruit and here in the rural areas like Kluvokani. So many incredible trees that are already in full flower. And we're still waiting for them here in this part of the world. Oh look, there's waterbuck. It's hiding out on the edge of the open area in the cold, windy weather. Afternoon, madam. Say hello to the world. We've had some waterbuck hanging around camp since I got in yesterday. A small group of females. Thanks, Herman. And hello, everybody. Glad that you could join me this afternoon. Bye-bye, Mrs. Waterbuck. She looks like quite an old girl. Her coat was very, what's the word, scruffy. And hello, Pete. Pete Bright on drive with us this afternoon. Hello to Pete and Renee. How's weather in Cape Town? Just a sideline here for Pete. Pete, I've got a little dam up at home. Well, it's on the boundary with our neighbours. And the water is disappearing fast. And for the whole time that I was there was a pair of saddlebull storks living there. And every day that I went to sit at the dam, I see this pair of saddle. I took probably about 3 hours of footage of them. Walking in the water, feeding, grooming. Franklin shouting about something in the bushes here where this waterbuck was. So, I've heard you've seen Karula. No less than 2 kills, a duiker and a steenbuck, greedy girl. I heard Induna surprised everybody with a kill in front of the lodge, but then of course to no one's surprise had his kill stolen by hyena. Little boy's going to have to learn, isn't he? And then the kahumas and the sticks feeding together. Okay, Gallagher shortcut, make our way up to Bivelshoek cut line, Bivelshoek Gari cut line, maybe take the shortcut, and of course we're going to look for a flower, or 2, or 3. I did notice the big large fruited combretums coming into flower. They're quite pretty, these little spikes. Almost like a miniature bottle brush, white bottle brush. Elephant tracks from 2 days ago. Breeding herd was here. Close to camp 2. I didn't see that much when I was at home. Had a lot of this weather, which was just reading weather. Got through a few books, mostly fiction, just escaping, that kind of mindless escapism. Bob, if you're watching, I've got a very interesting book called Adam's Calendar, and I think Barbara will know what it is. Kelly knows what it is. Kelly sent me the book. But really strange coincidence, because Bob sent me some audio files to listen to, and one of them is an interview with Michael Selinger, who is one of the guys that discovered these ruins here in South Africa, in Mpumalanga, in this province that we're in now. And some of the oldest rock walls and astrological ruins. I mean, it's kind of like the South African Stonehenge, although it's not big monoliths. They are monolith rocks, but they're not that big. But they are aligned with astronomy, the sun and the stars. Very interesting reading, and very interesting listening to. I read a little bit of that. And of course I watch ants and insects and wasps. Believe it or not, the only elephants that I saw were way in the distance. From the family group, about 500 yards away. I could hear them several nights. I could hear them way in the distance in the river. Some of the youngsters screaming. And didn't have any come and visit. Had giraffe and buffalo come and visit me at the house, but no elephants this time. So, questions, comments, anything you want? Send them into final control at safari.tv. I'll do my best to give you answers or reply to your comments. A lot of buffalo tracks here. It seems these buffalo might have come from here. There was a big herd here too, but not the herd I think that we were looking for today. Fresh rhino track. Pretty big rhino. I'm not going to take that shortcut, although there are car tracks on top of this rhino. Go this way anyway, up to the fire break, come down from Buffelshoek sign. big rhino that was here, and there were some scrape marks further back where he was marking his territory. Drag marks. Might have been last night or yesterday. Just trying to get an idea of how fresh. Not fresh enough that he's going to be on the road up ahead, but he might be in the area somewhere on that burnt part of the fire break. More scraping here. Looks like he's gone into Buffalo. Just before I forget, I want to send a big welcome, or a welcome back, to Marilyn, who was in hospital for a while. Marilyn, we're all very worried about you, and we're really glad that you managed to get home safely. And I wish you well on your road to recovery. I hope that there's something that we can do. I know Karula and boys, some of those sightings, to help you while away the hours during recovery, but just being here for you. Quite the chilly wind. Yeah, I don't know how much of a view we can get from this angle, but up ahead there's a knobthorn in full bloom. Can't really get an idea without the background of other bush behind it. But up there, cream-colored crown. Really stands out when you just have the background of dry bushveld and you've got those knobthorns just dotted all over the landscape. See if we can get some more views of them this afternoon and in the morning, the next few days. Probably one of the nicest times of the year, with everything just coming awake and new things to find every day. Lots of green grass on this fire break where it was burnt. Well, patches of it. Not fully a green carpet yet, it will be one of these days. And now somewhere up here got to be some buffalo. Surely there's some buffalo. There have been so many buffalo around that there are tracks and dung everywhere. But I can't imagine that they've moved that far, that fast, unless there's a pride of lion behind them. Alan! Hello, Alan. And a question about Duma. How long's Duma been a game reserve? And how long have the roads been How long have the roads been here? I don't really know, Alan. Duma probably back to the 70s when Yuri's father or even grandfather first started something. The late 70s. Really not sure. Wow, would you look at that? Can't find a single buffalo. There were a couple of hundred of them. They've moved in already. There I can see one or two. Yeah, they've already crossed into Buffelshoek. Yeah, here are their tracks. Tambuti Dam area. Other side of Tambuti Dam. Oh well. C'est la vie. Guess it's too early to do Mvubu Road. Hello, Linda. I'm just going to look at another tree that's in bloom. Linda's asking questions about blooming trees. Are they giving off a scent? Very mild scent. It depends on which tree it is. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them have visual cues to bring in insects from a visual perspective. Some of them will only give off a scent at night to bring in moths. Here's one of the combretums, the large fruited combretum that's got some of its spikes starting to come into flower. They're not out fully yet. Need to wait before this gets quite showy. But what I was seeing just behind here, just behind this combretum, is an apple leaf that's coming into leaf, not flower. The apple leaf's got a really beautiful mauve flowers. Just this one behind it, but I can't see it from here. I have to go around. But we'll see lots more apple leaves, and as they're going to be coming into bloom, we're going to see one of the reasons why it's called an apple leaf, because they have this lovely pale green apple color. Well, color like apple leaves. That the giraffe loves so much. I know what we can do. We can do some of Ngubu Road. Come back again. Just in case there's some tracks of something interesting besides buffalo. Because buffalo have gone north. But as far as flowering plants are concerned, I'll let you know when we get any that are nicely scented. Some of them can be a little pungent. Some of the terminalias, when they come into flower, it can be quite a pungent smell. Of course, that's our nose that determines whether it's sweet or pungent. And then you get the likes of the gardenias, and everybody knows how beautiful the gardenias are when they're in flower. And these wild gardenias that we have here, 2 species, as are the Rothmanias, most beautifully scented flowers. But we'll just have to smell them for you. One interesting thing that I noticed, all the knobthorns flowering back in the Timbabati. Now there's a lot more insect activity there, I have to admit. Don't know what it is, even though it's drier. They've got lots of spider wasps hanging around, bees, flies, and all of those knobthorns are very busy with insects. Now last year we had the knobthorn starting to flower in July already, and it was a little bit too early for insects. And I noticed that very, very few of those knobthorns, when they were in full bloom, had many insects around them. Now the knobthorn has got this kind of a flower that isn't species specific when it comes to whatever insect is needed to pollinate it. So you get a whole variety of insects that will pollinate the knobthorn: flies, bees, wasps. So my guess is that this season, at least back home, the knobthorns are going to be producing quite a lot of seed. There are very few knobthorns here that did produce even a handful of seeds, possibly because they were flowering too early for the insects to pollinate them. And now that they're only coming into bloom now, it's a much better time of the year for them. And all we need is a bit of rain, of course. Rain. A lot of things yesterday were giving me indications that rain was coming. I saw so many tortoises for the first time since last summer, in fact. Seeing so many tortoises in one day, all the way coming from home towards Hoedspruit, and after doing shopping in Hoedspruit, coming back to the Sabi Sand. A number of tortoises crossing the road, and a lot of tortoise tracks on the sand road. And that's always a good indication that rain is coming. Also tree frogs. Also I had a raucous toad calling. There's a lot of little subtle signs that nature was saying there is rain coming. But all we got so far is just grey, cloudy weather. Maybe we'll still get a little bit of a shower during the night. I know that if I close my Land Rover we won't get rain, and I know that if I leave it open we will. So I'm debating letting my Land Rover get wet. Just cover the dashboard maybe. Ooh, citrus swallowtail butterfly just flew by, fluttered by. Citrus swallowtail butterfly is huge, big in my hand. It is our biggest butterfly. By no means the fastest flying, but yeah, the Caraxi is much faster flying. But that's the first citrus swallowtail that I've seen. And just before I get to the next question, I'm rambling on because I'm kind of excited to be back in the Sabi Sand and seeing changes. But Jerry, sorry, not ignoring your question. Jerry was asking about the hyena, the cubs. Has anybody seen them? How they are? I had a brief update from Sebastian before we started drive because I kind of forgot about it. I don't know if anybody remembers. But the day that I went on leave was the day that they found the hyena den. Well, we think it was a den, but evidently not much happening there now, and I don't think they've been seen at all. So Jerry, unfortunately your question remains unanswered because I don't know how the cubs are, I don't know how many there are, I don't know where they are. I do recall when Mike Moss was here, we had dinner with Mike Moss. I was talking to Texan that evening, and he had seen the female carrying one of the little black bundle of fluff, one of the cubs, towards the den that Tara had, well, I think it was Tara that found it. Yeah. But I don't think anything's come of it, so we'll have to wait and see on that front. Pardon? Oh, it was Graham who found it. It was Tara amongst us who found it. Okay, I'm going to have to turn around here. We're on this little road that goes down to the rooms. They could probably hear me talking to you already. Oh, another thing, let me just show you this quickly, because we're going to see a lot of it. Very special time of the year. Look at that jackalberry. And normally the jackalberries are vibrant and green. They're one of the few evergreens, and being such a big tree, they're normally so prominent because they are such a big tree and they stand out like that. But the jackalberries have to lose their leaves at one point, and they do it all at once. They'll lose their leaves and get their new ones. And this one, as are all the other jackalberries, are going this beautiful golden color. Really beautiful color. And very soon the new leaves are going to come out, and what's really fantastic about the jackalberries is their new leaves are reddish, beautiful reddish color, very much like the tambooties. When the tambootie leaves are dying, they go red, and the jackalberry, when the leaves start coming out, they're very red. Oh, there's an Apalus, fast-throated Apalus. I don't know if you can get it, it's jumping around so fast, Sebastian. This little tree just in front of us, this little knobthorn, there's a little got a yellow breast sitting in the top of it.
Oh, yeah.
Fast-throated Apalus, A-P-A-L-I-S. A bird we very, very seldom get to see because of its secret habits. Flits around. It looks like its mate's just joined. Chased it away. No, it wasn't a mate, it was probably another male. They're normally just busy in the crown of the trees, and we very seldom get to see them. Okay, onward. Ooh, Gary. Julie. Excuse me. Jules and Gary in the UK, who do visit Africa a lot. They got a lovely little spot, I think, down in Marlow Park. Jules, want to know if we get a sickle bush here in the Sabi Sand. And Jules and Gary, they love the flowers of the sea. I do too. They are pretty. They're also known as the Chinese lantern, the sickle bush. We'll be seeing them flower soon. Well, not soon, it's going to be a while. I'll find you a couple. As soon as I see one, I'll show you one. But they're not doing very much at the moment. No. There's some areas, because the sickle bush is one of these plants, that's hard to call it a tree. Sometimes they can reach tree size, much like a jackalberry can sometimes, not a jackalberry, I mean a guarri can sometimes get into a very large bush and be classed as a tree. But they're the kind of plant that can seed profusely. At the moment, actually, their seed pods are quite prominent. I'll find you one, show you, because that's how it gets its name. The seed pods are sickle shaped. And what have we got there? Some nyala. It's a bit thick. We'll have to skip them. A young male and a couple of females. And some youngsters, but very thick in there where they are. You see an ear flicking. Small group of nyala. We had a bushbuck, family of the nyala, smaller species. We had a female bushbuck right in front of the window of FC this afternoon at our little waterhole dam area, which we'll hopefully one day get a camera on. We've had a duiker visiting there a lot, a duiker that has found my little nursery and has started eating some of my plants that I've been nursing for over a year. Shoot to the ground level. There we see him now, a young male nyala, just coming out into the open. And one of the other young females. Okay. Well, just looking at a baby there now, second from the left, just behind that log, quite a young one, fairly new, it's only a few weeks old. Oh, what they're looking at, something is attracting their attention in the background. But that brings to mind a question from Kathy in Oregon. When can we expect the spring babies? Well, for some species, Kathy, I reckon probably even now, some things will start giving. I mean, let me think. Ryan from Arathusa, something's spooking them. Look at that, they're coming towards us. There's a cat in there, maybe. The older female leading the group. What's up, children? No, they're sneaking away very quietly. There's something going on. They're not even alarm barking, possibly because they just want to. That was a very, very quiet, stealthy way of getting to a different area. I wonder if Induna's sneaking around. Kathy, some species are only going to give birth towards early summer, in November, December. But Ryan at Arathusa has already seen buffalo and giraffe being born, but neither of those two species are restricted to any particular time of the year. Zebra are not restricted. Wildebeest might start dropping soon, in the next month or so. The monkeys and the baboons will maybe start giving birth soon. But generally, some of the animals are timed with the summer months when it becomes greener and a little bit lusher, more vegetation, more leaves on the trees, so that they can keep their milk supply up. I'm just going to go in there a little bit, poke my nose in. Now for a family of nyala like that to run, and even run towards us, a little unusual. So before I do that, I just want to look for something. There's a piece of bone, let me show you. shouldn't really handle this, but I'm handling the bone part, not touching the meat. The size of this bone, how it's been broken, chewed by a hyena, possibly. Probably buffalo bone, already gotten to the marrow, but there's still a bit of gristle and meat on it. This could have been from that buffalo kill that was across the drainage line near camp a couple of months ago. But to be honest, I think it's more fresher than that. Don't know where another kill would have happened in this vicinity. Oh, let's see if we can find anything in the bushes here. End of the road. What road? Tree stumps. I guess it remains a mystery for now. Other alternative is to try and catch up with those nyala. Rough ground. If it was a leopard, it might be stalking them still. Yep, not seeing anything. Where the nyala have gone, they've also moved further. There they are. That's found themselves in this thicket here and they've stopped now. I'm in two minds now because I think the drives are going out, so I think I'm actually going to turn around and go back towards Gowrie Dam. Nothing wrong with doing a road 3 times, well, half of the road. Go past this Nyala again. Excuse me. Excuse me. Seem to have settled down, these Nyala now. Their tails are flicking and they're